أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Inshallah, what we're going to do for this week's lesson is that we will conclude the topic which I started a couple of weeks ago with regards to the Jummah Salah, and thereafterwards, inshallah, we will make a start in the next section, which is regarding the Eid prayers, the Eid al-Fitr prayers and the Eid al-Adha prayers. Now, the first ruling which I'm going to mention here with regards to the Jummah Salah is that, just say for example, a latecomer has come for the Jummah Salah and he finds the Imam, say, in the first rakat or the second rakat, or just say for example if he finds the Imam in the last sitting, then what should this individual and what should this brother do when it comes to repeating the two rakats? Does he repeat the two rakats Jummah as a masbook, as a latecomer, or would he actually pray his Dhuhr Salah instead? Now there are two opinions. The first opinion is that according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he says that if a person comes late for Jummah and he misses either one rakat with the Imam, or he misses two rakats, or just say for example he comes for the Jummah Salah just before the Imam is about to give Salah, and you see some people either for some reason, wallah alam, whether it could be for work or just, they're not bothered and they come right at the end for Jummah. So they come and the Imam is just about to do Salam, and then they, say Allahu Akbar and they sit down, and then the Imam says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Now according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he says that such a latecomer should stand up and he will pray two rakats. Basically he will pray two rakats, and that two rakats which he will pray will be considered as the two rakats Jummah Salah. Will be considered as the two rakats Jummah Salah. Everyone understood that? Yeah. However, according to Imam Muhammad rahimahullah, he is of the view, and he says that such an individual will have to pray four rakats instead. So what will happen is that after the Imam gives Salam, he will then stand up and he will pray four rakats Dhuhr. Because Imam Muhammad is saying that, look, this person has come right at the end of the Salah. So he will not pray two rakats Jummah, because when you look at it, he's kind of missed his Jummah already. So what will he do is that after the Salam, he will stand up and he will pray four rakats Dhuhr. However, Imam Muhammad rahimahullah does say that if the person was to pray one rakat, or he missed, one rakat with the Imam, or he manages to catch the Imam in the second rakat before the Imam goes into ruku and into the final sitting, then in that situation he will pray Jummah, in terms of he will then stand up and pray one rakat. So Imam Muhammad does say that. However, the crux of the issue is regarding if the person was to join the Imam after the second rakat when the Imam is in the final sitting, then according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he says that such a person will just stand up and pray two rakats, and that two rakats will be considered as Jummah. Whereas Imam Muhammad rahimahullah is saying that no, if this person comes so late on in the Jummah prayer, it is though that he hasn't participated in the Jummah. It is though that he hasn't prayed Jummah. Hence, after the Imam gives Salam, he will stand up and he will pray four rakats. So that is the ruling with regards to Jummah here. Some of the rulings before we finish the text. One ruling here is with regard to the listening to the khutbah, and also Imam Quduuri rahimahullah says that وَإِذَا خَرَجَ الْإِمَامِ يَوْمَ الْجُمُعَةِ, that when the Imam leaves on the day of Jummah, تَرَكَ النَّاسَ الصَّلَاةَ وَالْكَلَامَ حَتَّى يَفْرُغَ مِنْ خُطْبَتِهِ, that everyone should then stop any prayers and any kind of kalam or conversations they were having until the Imam finishes his sermon and khutbah. Now the word khutbah here, by the way, as I explained in last week's lesson, doesn't mean the English speech or doesn't mean the Urdu speech which the Imam is giving. By the word khutbah, we mean the Arabic khutbah or the Arabic sermon which is given after the muazzin gives salam, after the muazzin gives azan in front of the khatib and the lecturer, and then the khatib and the imam stands up and he delivers his Arabic khutbah and his Arabic lecture. Now what this text is telling us is that when the imam leaves, now leaving here means that, as I was explaining in last week's lesson, that in olden days what would happen is that because everyone understood Arabic, the main speech would be the Arabic sermon which is being given. That would be like the main khutbah and the main speech. So just say for example, if the speech is going to be delivered at 1:30, so the imam will be sitting somewhere on the first row or in the second row. So at 1:30 the imam will stand up and then he will make his way towards the minbar. So what this text is telling us is that soon as the imam is making his way towards the minbar, that anyone who is praying any salah, he should now cut it off, or he should now complete it, and I'll explain how to complete it in a second. And if anyone is involved in conversation, speaking to someone, making announcements for donations or chanda and so on and so forth, then that should be stopped, because all the way until the imam finishes his khutbah and finishes his Arabic sermon. Now there's a couple of points which we can derive from this text. Number one is that it is obligatory and wajib to listen to the khutbah. When the imam is giving the Arabic khutbah, and this is very important by the way, because we see unfortunately in many masajid, when the Arabic khutbah is going on, a lot of people, especially youngsters and people, and sometimes even like middle-aged people who are in their 20s and 30s, you think that probably have some understanding and some stomach. What would happen is that they will go to the back somewhere, and then they will deliver their, at the back they will be like, talking and just like messing around and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So this is something which is wrong. Okay, this is something which is wrong and something which is totally against the sunnah. So the first ruling is that when the Arabic sermon or speech is going on, it is wajib and obligatory to listen to the Arabic khutbah. So that's one point. Now the second point which I'm going to mention here is that, just say for example somebody is praying his Jummah Salah, the Jummah Sunnah, and the Khatib or the Imam is starting his Arabic khutbah. So what should that individual do in terms of the Salah or the Namaz which he is praying? Now the scholars have said that if this person is on the first rakat, so he's on the first rakat, so he just started it off like Surah Fatiha, Surah, and he hasn't done the sajda for the first rakat yet. So in that situation, if the Imam is starting his khutbah and his Arabic speech and sermon, this person, what he should do is that he should break his salah and he should sit down and then he should listen to the khutbah and the sermon. And the way you break your salah, I mentioned this before as well, is that you don't like to start talking or something like that, but the way you break it is you do salam to the right one, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, so you see in the standing position, so you do salam to the right one and then you sit down. So by doing salam, that means that you are breaking your salah. So you will do that. Other scenario could be like, for example, if a person is in the second rakat, he's already done one rakat and he's in the second rakat, or just say, for example, he's in the middle sitting and he's just about to start his tahiyyat when he hears the Imam about to start his sermon, or the muazzin is about to give the azan for the sermon. So in that situation, what should the individual do is that he should then finish his salah at the end of the second rakat. So he shouldn't break it. If he's already in the second rakat, so he should just quickly pray an extra rakat and then do salam and finish off the namaz and salah. Or if he's in the final sitting, in the middle sitting, and he's just about to recite the tahiyyat when the Imam is starting his khutbah and his sermon, so what he would do is that he would just finish off the tahiyyat, the Durood Ibrahim, the dua, and then just do salam on either side, and he will finish the two rakats off. Then what he will do is that after the Jummah Salah, he will then have to pray the 4 rakats before Jummah afterwards. As I mentioned before in the Sunnah section, that if the 4 rakat Zuhur Sunnah before the Zuhur, if you were able to pray for some reason, then after the Zuhur first, an obligatory prayer, you will be able to pray the 4 rakat Zuhur Sunnah. So exactly here as well with regards to the 4 rakat Jummah Sunnah, that if we didn't have time to pray, then what will happen is that after the Jummah Salah, you will then pray those 4 rakat Jummah Sunnah. So that is the second scenario. Now the third scenario is a situation where somebody has prayed these 2 rakat, now he's on the 3rd rakat now. So he started it off. Then what happens? He then hears the Imam about to start his khutbah and his sermon. So in that situation, what he will do is that he will sit back down again. So he won't break his salah, by the way. He won't like do salam and then finish off the salah. No, what we do is that he will sit back down again, and he will then do his at-tahiyyat with sajdah sahw, and then he will complete his salah. So he wanted to pray his 4 rakat Jummah Sunnah. So he was on the 3rd rakat, and the Imam is about to start the sermon and the speech. So there's actually there's 2 opinions. One is that what he can do, what I just explained, is that he will then sit back down again. He will then read the at-tahiyyat, and then he will do sajdah sahw at the end, and then he will do salam, and he will do the qaza of the 4 rakat after the Jummah. Or the second opinion, which some scholars have said, that in that situation, he will be allowed to continue praying the 3rd rakat, the 4th rakat, finish off his Jummah Sunnah, and then he will listen to the khatib delivering the sermon and the speech. So there are actually 2 opinions. And with regard to the 4th scenario is that a person is on the 4th rakat. Okay? So he's ready 3rd rakat and the 4th rakat. So in that situation, what he will do, he will just complete the Jummah Sunnahs as normal, as usual, and then he will listen to the Imam delivering the khutbah and delivering the sermon. The next text then goes on to say that وَإِذَا أَذَّنَ الْمُؤَذِّنُونَ يَوْمَ الْجُمُعَةِ الْآذَانَ الْأَوَّلِ تَرَكَ النَّاسَ الْبَيْعَ وَالشِّرَاءَ وَتَوَجَّهُوا إِلَى الْجُمُعَةِ. Again, this masla and ruling was looked at before, that on the day of Jummah, when the muazzin, the callers for the prayer, when they give the first azan. As I explained a couple of weeks ago, that first azan here means the azan which is given around 15-20 minutes before the azan which is given in front of the khatib and the imam. So when we talk about the first azan here, we talk about the one which is given 15-20 minutes before. Normally it is given in many masjids where they give this azan, then they give you time to pray the sunnahs, and then they give another azan, and then the imam delivers the sermon, the Arabic khutbah, then the iqamat is given, and then the prayer. Other masajid, what they do is that they give this particular azan at the beginning of Zuhr time. Okay, so just say Zuhr begins at 1:10 past, they will give that azan at that time. Then the imam tends to give his Urdu bayan, Urdu speech, English speech. Then another azan, then the imam delivering the Arabic khutbah, and then the salah. So this azan here, the first azan, is talking about the one which is given at the beginning. Firstly, some mosques they do it like 1:15 when the Zuhr time is about to start. Some do it a bit more later. So he says there that when this first azan is given, then people should leave their buying and selling. So if their dukan, if their shops are open, they should close that. Because if they don't, and they get busy in trading, then what's going to happen? They're going to miss the Jummah Salah. Because during that time, as all of you know, I mentioned before as well, that it's considered makruh tahlili, severely disliked to do any kind of transaction and any kind of business transaction after the first azan. So as soon as the first azan is given, everything should be closed, the shops, everything should be closed. وَتَوَجَّهُوا إِلَى الْجُمُعَةِ, people should then make their way for the Jummah prayer. And then he goes on to say, فَإِذَا صَعِدَ الْإِمَامِ الْمِنْبَرِ جَلَسَ وَأَذَّنَ الْمُؤَذِّنُونَ بَيْنَ يَدَيِ الْمِنْبَرِ ثُمَّ يَخْطُبُ الْإِمَامَ. So he then explains the procedure that the imam, he will climb the minbar, jalasa, he will sit down, then the muazzin will give another azan in front of him. He will give another azan, then the imam will stand up and he will deliver the khutbah and the sermon. وَإِذَا فَرَغَ مِنْ خُطْبَتِهِ أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةِ. And when the imam finishes delivering the Arabic khutbah and the sermon, then everyone will start their prayer and the salah for Jummah. So that concludes the Jummah section. The next section which we are going to look at in this book is with regards to the Eid prayer, Babu Salati Eidain. And the reason why the Eid Salah always comes after the Jummah Salah, and even when you look at it, whether it's in the books of fiqh or in the books of hadith, That in the books of Hadith, they always start off with Jummah, and then the next chapter or the next section they always mention afterwards is regarding the Eid Salah and the Eid prayer. And the reason why they did it is because many of the rules regarding the Eid Salah is very similar to the Jummah Salah. And basically what I explained a couple of weeks ago with regards to the conditions which needs to be found for Jummah to be obligatory, or the condition which needs to be found for Jummah to be valid and accepted, such as it has to be performed in a city, there has to be this general permission, male has to be there, however if women did attend then their Jummah will be done. The exact same conditions also apply for the Eid Salah as well. It has to be done in a city, it has to be done either in a big village, there has to be a general permission, you can't prohibit anyone from coming for the Jummah Salah or the Eid Salah. You can't say that, okay, only Pakistanis can come for this Eid Salah, or only Bengalis can come. You can't basically say only these people can come and these can't, or only lawyers can come but not doctors. That is not Islam, that is not general permission. So the same conditions which I discussed in detail a few weeks ago regarding Jummah Salah, for the validity of Jummah Salah, for the correctness of Jummah Salah, exact same conditions needs to be found for the Eid Salah to be valid and for the Eid Salah to be accepted. Now, what I'm going to do before we look at the text is just look at some contemporary issues with regards to the Eid Salah, and then inshallah afterwards we'll look at the text which is in front of us. Now, the first contemporary issue which we need to look at, which is connected with the Eid prayer, in particular with the Eid al-Adha prayer, is the issue regarding Takbir al-Tashriq. Now, Takbir al-Tashriq is takbir, or is could say like a dhikr or a remembrance which we do during those days. And the takbir goes Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil hamd. So this is the takbir which we recite. And we recite this takbir for 23 namazis, for 23 prayers. It starts on the Fajr of the 9th of Dhul Hijjah and it finishes on the Asr of the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. So just say for argument's sake, if 9th of Dhul Hijjah happens to be on a Monday, so you've got Monday, 9th, Tuesday, 10th, which will be the Eid day, 11th, 12th, 13th, so which will basically finish on Asr on the Friday. So that is the Takbir al-Tashriq which we recite. Now, do you know this Takbir al-Tashriq, to recite that once is wajib and is obligatory. And it's even wajib and obligatory for women to recite this particular Takbir. And you'll be surprised that there are many women, many Muslim women, many Muslim sisters who actually don't even know that this is wajib to do. They know that the men read it in the masjid, like the men after the Imam will finish his salah, then the Imam will read it loudly, and then everyone behind tends to read it loudly. But many women, when they are reading salah at home, they don't even read this particular thing. They don't even know that this is actually wajib and obligatory. So it's also obligatory for women to recite it as well. Obviously at home they will recite it quietly or in a discreet way, unlike men who tend to recite it loudly, but it is still wajib and obligatory for women to read it and to recite it. And remember, something which is wajib, if you were to miss it out, you'll be sinful for that. So many women will be surprised. There was a sister last year was saying that I didn't even know that she's in her 30s and she didn't even know that this was wajib. She's been praying salah for 15, 16, 17 years. She didn't even know that during 23 namazes during the Eid time, even Adha time, you pray this particular durood, you pray this particular zikr, and it's wajib. She didn't even know that. So what I'm trying to say is that this is something which is important, and especially for you and I to tell our women folk at home, our mothers at home, our sisters, our wives at home, that this is something wajib and they have to recite it. So that is one ruling which needs to be highlighted here. The second ruling which I'm going to mention is also very important because it very rarely happens. And when it does happen, then we're stuck and then we're not sure what to do. Now, the ruling which I'm trying to refer to is that if somebody comes late for his Eid Salah, how will he then do qaza? Like he's a masbook here. So how will he then do qaza of the 1 rakat or the 2 rakats which he missed? Bearing in mind that in the Eid Salah there are 6 extra takbir. So a particular procedure has to be given to this individual so that he can do qaza of the 1 rakat or the 2 rakats which he has missed, and also keeping the extra takbir in mind which are also wajib and obligatory to recite. Now, as all of you know that in the Eid Salah, according to Imam Abu Hanif rahimahullah, at the beginning of the first rakat there are 3 extra takbir, and then at the end of the second rakat there are 3 extra takbir. Now, I'm just going to mention 4 scenarios here, like if somebody came late for his Eid prayer, for his Eid namaz, then how should this person pray the 1 rakat which he missed, or even the 2 rakat which he missed? And also at the same time, he does the extra takbir as well, and he doesn't miss the mass. And we may think that, well, you may be thinking that, well, why would a person come late for his Eid Salah? But sometimes it does happen. Like sometimes, especially if you're going by car to a particular local mosque, sometimes looking for parking space, that takes like 20, 30 minutes, half an hour, you're looking for parking space. By the time you get there, there's like the Imam has already started his Salah. So sometimes it does happen, or sometimes you woke up late, you've gone for your shower, and after you're rushing and everything, and then by the time you go to the masjid, you realize that the Imam has already started. Because remember, as we know that in the Eid Salah is first, then the khutbah. So it is more possible, there is more likelihood of you either missing it, or the very least either coming late for the Eid Salah. Whereas in Jummah, we know that it's khutbah first and the Salah. So even sometimes you may miss the khutbah, you can still get it for the Salah. But Eid, because the namaz is first, the Salah is first, so there have been cases where people have actually missed 1 rakat, 2 rakat, and they were stuck in what to do next if somebody was to miss 1 rakat or 2 rakat. Now I'm going to mention 4 scenarios here. The first scenario is, a person has come for the Eid Salah, and he's joined the Imam after the Imam has done the 3 extra takbir. So he joined the congregation, Imam has said Allahu Akbar, he's done the 3 extra takbir, and the Imam is now reciting Surah Fatiha or Surah, then somebody comes. Now in that situation, the latecomer, what he will do is, he will say Allahu Akbar, so he will do Allahu Akbar by himself. So the Imam will be reciting Surah Fatiha, Surah, whatever he's reciting, but that individual by himself will say Allahu Akbar, Takbir Tahlima, and then by himself he will say Allahu Akbar. So he will do the 3 extra takbir, and then he will join the Imam. Okay? So basically, somebody's come on the first rakat, after the Imam has done the 3 extra takbir, he will come Allahu Akbar, and then he will raise his hand for 3 extra takbir, and then obviously he won't say it loudly, but he will just say it quietly so that he could hear, and he will then join the Salah, and then he will pray the Salah at the moment. So that's the first situation. The second situation is where somebody has come for the Eid Salah, and he finds the Imam in the ruku position. So he's come to the masjid, and the Imam is ruku, like he's gone into ruku, Allahu Akbar. Now in that situation, what should he do? Now in that situation, the latecomer, he should say Allahu Akbar, and he should get into the ruku. It's very important. Sometimes people, what they do is that they say Allahu Akbar, and then they do the 3 extra takbir in the standing position, and then by the time he manages to do that, the Imam's already up from the ruku, and he's saying Sami Allahu liman hamidah, and he's going into sajda. So if you come to the masjid or the congregation, the Imam in ruku, what you do is say Allahu Akbar. So this is Takbir Tahrim, Allahu Akbar, and then you go into ruku. So you go into ruku. So because the main thing is that you catch the rakat. So you go into ruku. And in ruku, instead of saying the tasbih, you will then say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, quietly, but without raising your hand. Okay? So basically you do the 3 extra tasbih in the ruku. That is the second situation. So you come late, the Imam is in ruku, so you will say Allahu Akbar in the standing position, because that's Takbir Tahlima, you have to do that in the standing position. So you say Allahu Akbar, you then go into ruku, and in the ruku state, you will then say Takbir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, but without raising your hand. So that's scenario number 2. The third scenario is that if you miss the rakat, basically you've come to the congregation, after the Imam has done one rakat. So you're in the second rakat now. So obviously you pray the second rakat as normal, you just follow the Imam. At the end, you will do the 3 takbeers. If you join the Imam in second rakat, even then, like you just join as normal. So you just say Allahu Akbar and just join as normal. Now what will then happen is that after the Imam does his salam, you will now stand up. Now when you stand up, what will you do? And this is quite important here. You read your salah, tasmiyah, ta'awun, so on, Surah Fatiha, Surah, and then before you go into ruku, you will do 3 extra tasbih. Slightly different. See, a lot of people get mixed up. Because they think, okay, I missed one rakat, so that means I need to really like the first rakat in terms of, when I stand up, Allahu Akbar, and then I do the 3 extra tasbih, then Surah Fatiha, Surah. As I explained before in detail when we were looking at the Sunnah section, and those who come late, I mentioned that the rakat which you pray with the Imam, that is considered as your first rakat. Yes? So the second rakat which you're now going to pray as a masbook, as a latecomer, it's like you're praying the second rakat of Eid. And the second rakat of Eid, the way we normally pray is Surah Fatiha, Surah, and then 3 takbeers before you go into ruku. So that's how you will pray. So just keep that in mind. So it's basically, if you miss one rakat, you join the Imam. So when you are now masbook and you're now doing qaza of that first rakat you missed, remember you're not going to be praying it like the first rakat of Eid, but you'll be praying it like the second rakat of Eid. Why? Because, as I already explained, that when a masbook, when he comes late, the rakat which he prays with the Imam, the second rakat, that is considered as his first rakat. So the second rakat he prays, he will pray like the second rakat of Eid prayer, which is Surah Fatiha, Surah, and before he goes into ruku, 3 extra takbeers. So that's the third situation. And the fourth situation, which is actually straightforward, is that if somebody misses 2 rakats of Eid, then he will, so when he stands up and now he's going to pray 2 rakats, so he will pray the 2 rakats as like a normal Eid salah. I.e., when you stand up, Allahu Akbar, then you do the 3 extra takbeers, and then Surah Fatiha, Surah, then ruku, sajda, everything. Then in the second rakat, Surah Fatiha, Surah, 3 extra takbeers, and then ruku. So we just pray as normal. So these are the 4 scenarios for someone who comes late for Eid, and how should he pray. Some other rulings here with regards to Eid, which I'm just going to highlight. Another ruling number 2, is with regards to showing happiness on Eid day. Now there are many ahadith where it's quite clearly mentioned, the companions and so on and so forth, they would display happiness, or as we say in Urdu, khushi manana, on Eid day, on Eid al-Fitr, on Eid al-Adha. And this again has to be a bit clarified, because some people think, no, on Eid day you have to be like, religious and, strict, and you need to be probably harsh and so on. No, Eid day is a day for celebration, it's a joyous occasion. So on Eid day, just like, relax a bit, if there's like, just to be a bit happy, meet people in a happy face and so on, then that is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there are many ahadith, especially the very famous hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, where on Eid day, there were 2 young Ansari girls, and they were playing the duf, they were playing the drum, they were also singing ash'ar. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr al-Anhu saw them and he said, go away, the Prophet ﷺ tried to sleep and so on, go away, see what you find out, you're playing drums, he's going to be really angry. So Rasulullah ﷺ overheard this and he told Abu Bakr al-Anhu to leave them alone, because it's like a happy day, a joyous occasion. So if people wearing nice clothes and so on, it shouldn't be that strict, let them enjoy themselves. It's a festival and it's a day, special day from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the same time, keeping this as a joyous day and as a festival, we also have to bear in mind that we should not be doing any haram thing or any unlawful thing on this particular day. Okay, many people think that each day is a day to totally mess around, totally go away from the Sharia. Islam or the Sharia doesn't say that. Islam says, okay, enjoy yourself, but enjoy yourself within the boundaries of the Sharia. It doesn't mean that you start missing your prayers. It doesn't mean that you start now, putting loud music in your car. It doesn't mean that you start, doing things like going places where there's mixed gatherings, these kind of places. It doesn't mean that the Sharia is allowing you to do that. Okay, obviously it's a happy occasion, it's a joyous occasion. It's a time to meet your friends, relatives, family, so on and so forth. Go and spend time with them. But the Sharia doesn't give you the green light to start going totally away from the Sharia and start doing things. And a classic example, when you look at the Eid we just passed, Eid al-Fitr. So Ramadan, we spent the whole month of Ramadan worshipping Allah and so on. Fajr, the masjids are packed. But on the first day of Eid al-Fitr, if you come to the masjid for Fajr that day, it's empty. And some people, the night before, they will make this plan, because obviously Eid namaz is early. So they will make this plan that, okay, I'm going to miss my Fajr, but I'm going to wake up early for Eid. They actually make the plan to miss Fajr. So Sharia doesn't say that on the Eid day that you miss your Fajr. A lot of people, even like the Eid which we're going to have, Eid al-Adha, because the Eid Jamaat is quite early in the morning, 8 o'clock, 6:30, so some places 8:15. So they can't wake up for Fajr because it's going to be too much, they're going to use out on too much sleep in the waking of Fajr and then staying awake for the Eid Jamaat and congregation. What they do is just totally miss the Fajr Salah and then they wake up for the Eid. So again, starting the Eid day, which is the day of joyification, with the sin of missing a Fajr Salah. So remember, Sharia doesn't allow that. Now keeping this in mind, there's a couple of things which I want to highlight. It's obviously the day to joyification and so on. But at the same time, we should remember that during this particular day, we shouldn't be doing any kind of innovation or any kind of practices which are not proven from the Sharia. And what I really want to highlight here is regarding this practice of on the Eid day, hugging people, shaking hands with people, and people thinking that this is the sunnah of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now don't get me wrong, it is a separate sunnah that when you meet people you should shake hands, when you meet people you should hug. It's a sunnah. There's many ahadith which you can find in the books of hadith. But the main issue here is shaking hands or hugging people on Eid day, thinking that shaking hands or hugging people on the Eid day carries more virtues and more kind of reward and sawab. That in itself is an innovation and that is wrong. That's incorrect. The two things. Obviously, if you want to meet someone and you shake hands, that's okay, you're shaking hands. But on the Eid day, like people hugging each other, and that's what happened. As soon as the Eid congregation, the Jamaat finishes, you see people just hugging each other, and people thinking that, this hugging on Eid day is actually a rewardable thing. It's like a rewardable Eid. Okay, so that in itself is proven from the Sharia. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind. And it's important for you and I, for especially ulamas and scholars, and also for students like yourself, that we try to put a stop to this kind of innovation. And if people were to do it, then you should actually explain to them that way that look, it's not considered to be it's a sunnah in separately. So if you want to shake hands, then shake hands because it's a sunnah, not because it's Eid day. Because it's not proven from the companions or from the Prophet ﷺ that on Eid day, after the Eid Salah, they would shake hands with each other, they would hug each other. That's not proven. But if you want to shake hands because it's a sunnah in its own right, that's different, or you haven't seen me for many, many days, then that's okay, but not because of Eid day. It's like, for example, like certain brothers, when I meet you, like say after a week or so, I shake hands. So that's because we're acting from the sunnah, for meeting someone. But we're not doing it because it's Eid day, or we're not doing it because it happens to be a Saturday, Saturday is less day, or because of Friday. No, we're doing it because we want to act upon the sunnah. So to shake hands or to hug with the intention of acting on sunnah, that's okay, but it should not be done with the intention of doing it on the Eid day, and that is carrying more reward or more sawab. And the same also applies with regards to the word Eid Mubarak. Again, the word Eid Mubarak is proven from hadith that Prophet ﷺ would say Eid Mubarak. Now, what is actually proven from the hadith is they would say Eidun Sa'idun. That is actually proven from the hadith, Musannaf ibn Shayba, that they would say to each other Eidun Sa'idun. But the word Eid Mubarak, again, they would not say on Eid day. There's no mention of that in the hadith. Again, they would say happy things, joyous things, like, hope you're well, these kind of things, which is indicating towards happiness, so they would say that. But again, it's not proven that they would actually say the word Eid Mubarak on that particular day. Similar to another kind of modern day innovation, that on the Friday, people sending out text, Jummah Mubarak. Again, there is no, it's not established from the Sunnah that on day of Friday, Prophet ﷺ, the companion would say, Jummah Mubarak to each one. It's just like come about people through their ignorance and through their jahala, they make these kind of innovations. And I mentioned this many times before that, when we look at the Sharia or when we look at Islam, Islam is an extreme. Islam, the Sharia is an extreme, but where does the extremism come from? Is through people's ignorance. People deeming or thinking certain things which are not part of Sharia, and that's where the harshness comes. But when you analyze each law and rules of the Sharia, it's very, very relaxed, it's very, very moderate and so on. And that is proven from the Quran itself, where Allah said, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا, that this ummah is a moderate ummah, meaning that the people of this ummah will be moderate, and also this religion will also be moderate as well. And when it comes to certain rulings where you see people being really harsh in terms of people saying, oh well, if you pass wind you have to go for istinja, you have to wash your private parts, that is actually people due to the lack of ignorance making difficult things obligatory upon them. As you know that if you pass wind, istinja isn't obligatory, but people just think that. So there's many things so this is also similar as well, that it's through innovation that many things which are not part of Islam, which are not practice of Islam, people deem it to be necessary and obligatory. Inshallah, we'll just leave it there for this week when I will proceed to